I'll push all my chips and call all in. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high through the downs and lows. And we're all going in life, still nobody knows. But I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes. And ain't no one in life holding me back no more.
Wow, I already started off wrong. What is up? What is up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? What's up? What's up? Could you guys do me a favor? Could you please put one in the chat if you can hear me okay? I'm a little too close for my liking, and I have both of my AirPods in, so it kind of feels like I'm away from the real world and I don't hear anything around me. Not even anything. Not even a little. Hey Lexi, good to see you. It's so good to see you guys. Thank you so much for being here with me. Um, I had a stream scheduled because this morning I realized, wow, it's been a really long time since I went live. Yes, Miss Fletcher, that's kind of why I was here. Because, okay, let me back up. Okay, I'm gonna try to be very clear and concise and let you guys know right away that a lot of what I say is my personal opinion, my input, my perception, the way I view things, based on being there around these people. And it was one time throughout one day. So I'm not an expert. I'm not anywhere near a professional. And so everything that I say today is mainly going to be my opinion, but I do very, 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 very mindly state that I'm opinionated and that most of what I say is my opinion while I'm saying it. So, where do I start? I almost feel like I maybe need to get the deception deck out for this. I don't know if you guys follow the Deception Detective. He's got a deception deck that kind of helps you outline some of these people that are involved in a lot of these true crime stories. And it helps you kind of point out or recognize some of the stuff that's being said by these people and why it's right or wrong. Not necessarily right or wrong, that's the wrong words to use. Why it's incorrect or correct information. But basically, I had a stream scheduled. I realized I hadn't done a live with you guys for a while. Because usually at lunch, I either go get my dog, let my dog out, or I go to Jimmy's, or I go do something else. Because usually, you know, at work, I'm kind of dealing with people. And so then I get on here and I'm like, wow, there's too many people, you know, even though I love people. I'm not going to lie. I love people a lot. I might be lying a little, not every day. Same, Miss Fletcher, same. And so my original stream today was 10 things I hate about true crime. And I mainly started out, and I actually started writing out my list. And then the show on Crime Lines and Lies, which absolutely nothing against her. I'm all about allowing people to talk and give their side of the story and give their input and opinion. The only thing is when I tried to type into the chat, I actually even sent a super chat stating that the people they were discussing are not who they are. Like in the Summer Wells story, a lot of us followed it so closely to the point where we can tell who's who, we could tell what's what and where people were at what times. For me, I went a little bit farther than that because dating Dolly Vision, Jimmy, I like to call him Jimmy. I'm never going to say Dolly Vision. We went to visit Summer Wells's family. I believe it was February. I'm very bad with dates. 2022. And basically, I know, um, is that the dog? The dog. My dog is Wrangler. His dog is Lolo. We both have dogs with the same markings. It's really weird because they both have a black spot over one of their eyes, but it's on opposite eyes. So, anyways, back to Summer Wells. I don't want to get too off topic, but I do see you guys and I appreciate everybody that's here. I'm really, really thankful for you guys because sometimes when I feel like I need to vent like this, it's like I just gotta get it out. You know what I mean? So I was gonna do a stream on 10 reasons why I hate the true crime stories we cover. And basically, thank you, Diane. Maybe one day. But basically Summer Wells. One of the things that I hate about true crime is the stories are always horrific. They always have a sad ending, and you always have to kind of react to it appropriately, or else you get looked at as being not genuine or icky in a way. Ugh, I forgot that this was showing. That's not good. I might have to edit that out. Anyways, let's show this shoulder. Right? Better. Or I might just turn my camera off. I'm so indecisive today. Um, so anyways, let me get on with it. So when I right, misinformation, that's exactly what I'm getting to. Okay. This is why I have notes most of the times, and why I don't today is because the stream that I was just watching, like I was trying to explain, Crime Lines and Lies, Brooks is the owner of that channel. She basically has Ernie Shell up on her panel to talk about his experience with Candace Wells, Candace Bly at the time, and Don Wells. And so Summer Wells is a little girl. She was 5 years old. She went missing from Hawkins County, Tennessee. I believe that's Kingsport. And it was June 15th, 2021. So I don't know what's wrong with that date, but not even a year or two later, I think it was 2 years later, um, the Dorman man basically unalived three of his little boys on that same date. It's weird. I don't know if you guys believe in that kind of thing, but I kind of do. It's like a date where maybe they do rituals or something. I don't know. Just ignore me. But so June 15th, 2021, 5-year-old Summer Wells goes missing from Hawkins County in Tennessee. It's a very Hicksville type of area, and I don't mean that derogatively or in a negative way. I just don't really know how to explain it other than you've got to go a bit before you get to another house, and then the little area that they're in, it definitely has houses within, but there's probably about five in their direct vicinity, like on their street. So basically, I went with Dolly Vision in 2022 to Tennessee, and I'd never been, so I was super excited. But then I also had been following these true crime cases. Thank you so much, Jax. I appreciate you so much. You're so helpful. Thank you. Body language and way things are worded show deception. Experts use Clinton as an example. I did not have relations with that woman. He disconnected himself from her and in a way showing guilt. Exactly. Exactly. That's why I kind of wanted to get the deck out. But at the same time, I'm like, I just got to talk because I got to get it out. And I only have an hour at lunch, so I don't want to miss a second. But basically, let me get back to talking, and so I don't get off track too bad. Hey, beautiful sunflower. So we go to Tennessee to try and cover this Summer Wells missing child from Tennessee case, and I'm like watching him on the hotel bed while he's live streaming, and I'm thinking to myself, why don't we just contact Don Wells? And so I go and send a message to Don Wells' Facebook group myself, and I'm like, hey, can you talk for a minute? And he's like, is this Dolly? And I'm like, no, it's not. So then he's like, okay, well, who is this? Are you with Dolly? And I was like, I'm very bad at lying, for those of you guys that know. So even in a text format, I'm like, am I Dolly, Mr. Don Wells? I don't know. I might be. And he's like, okay, we don't want to talk, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, wait, we're not bad people. We are literally here trying to help you guys. We want to do what we can for you guys. We want to help you. And we want to, you know, give you some of our time or effort. We want to help you. Well, I would be willing to talk if, certain criteria is met. And I'm like, okay, cool. So he gets off his live stream and we arrange to meet Don and Candace Wells. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting ready. Not like they're like celebrities, but I'm thinking, hey, look, we're getting ready to go meet these people and they're going to tell us what to do to help, because that's my entire existence as far as my participation in true crime on the internet. I want to know how I can help. I want to know what I can do to help, because at this point in time, we're past 2 years. We went on 3 years, and now we're going past 3 years, and I just don't understand how it's possible that we're here with No, we've gotten nowhere. We've basically gotten nowhere. Hey, little dove. Good to see you, little dove. Thanks for being here. And so at that point, it was, almost 2 years ago. So I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, awesome. We're going to meet Don and Candace Wells. So we go to this Wendy's and we meet up with them. And Candace looks quite mean. Like, I am just almost hesitant to sit with this lady because she looks like she's been crying. She looks like she's snot nosed, like she's upset and she's mad. She's got like a straight bulldog face. And so, of course, Dolly Vision, with his usual self, will just make jokes and he just sits down and starts talking to Don while I look over at Candace and I think to myself, how do I get through to this lady to where, she understands that I understand, she's a human being. I'm not any better than her. So I pull out my wallet and I pull out a picture of my daughter. And I said, hey, look, this is my daughter. I cannot imagine what you've been going through and what you're going through. And I'm so sorry. Your daughter is missing. We are here to help you. Is there anything we could do? I know you don't want us here. I know you don't really like us. I'm sorry. So I'm sitting there trying to kind of break the ice with her by showing her a picture of my child, who is 12, by the way, going on 22. And so it kind of like breaks the ice a little bit. And so then Dolly's over on the other side of the table making jokes as his usual self. And so she starts to kind of loosen up and just get like not lighthearted. She starts to loosen up completely to where she's having a conversation with us. And so basically we're just talking and, asking little things like, hey, why haven't you been out here doing this? Or why haven't we seen you doing that? Or why haven't you, why haven't you, we asked them certain questions that started with, why haven't you? So we are just sitting around and they're like, hey, if you want, we can, let you guys come to the house. You can see the house so we can show you what everything is and how, it's not some of the stuff that they're portraying it to be on the internet. And so I'm like, do we want to do that? I'm there as like the official security because I'm the one that has a carry permit. I'm the one that's got the security sweatshirt on. And I'm the one that's like, is that safe? I'm the one making the adult decisions here. And I'm like, why not? So we get to the Wells' house. And you guys have seen Dolly Vision on his little ventures, like in Georgia. He's basically a little bit of a troublemaker because that's why we all love him. That's why I love him. He's fun. He's a troublemaker. He does stuff that I wouldn't do. And I just think it's fun. I almost live vicariously through him. But he was on the Wells property before and there were a bunch of dogs and he seemed like he was super scared of the dogs. So I actually made, okay, Jax, I can't give her a wrench right this moment, but I will. Little Dove, I will take care of that here shortly when I'm done with the stream. Sorry, I forgot all about it. So we get to the Wells property and I remembered, and this was planning, like I planned this before we even got on this trip, but I remembered that he was seeing all them dogs and that he was kind of a little bit sketchy. So I brought dog treats. And so we had dog treats in our pocket walking up to this freaking path. And I'm thinking like, I don't see any dogs. So there weren't any dogs that time around, but the hike walking up to this property, I'm not out of shape completely. Like I can walk a distance, I can walk to places, I can walk over time, but this was literally a steep hike up. Like you're walking straight up and that's it. And I'm like, by the time I'm halfway up this incline, I'm looking over at him and he just left me there, because that's what he does. Watches people fall into ditches. He watches people behind him why they can't climb a freaking simple driveway. It is what it is. It's good. But I'm like literally about to die. And I think it's either January or February. So it's pretty cold out. It's not like I should not be sweating, but I'm literally like, I look over at him, I'm like, I'm about to die. I'm about to die on this hill. Like, what the hell are we doing? You're going to have to go up there by yourself with no protection. If these people decide to take you out, I'm just going to be here on this hill. I'm just, halfway up the driveway, just, about to die. So basically, I push myself forward. I don't typically give up on things. even when I should. So I'm walking up the driveway up to Summer Wells' home, and I'm thinking to myself, what are we doing with our life? Is this going to end well? Who knows? But YOLO, because here we are. So then we get inside, and man, Summer Moon Utah Wells lived in this home in Hawkins County, Tennessee, and she was said to have been missing as of June 15th, 2021. She was 5 years old, and we start seeing bits and pieces of her life because these people are now choosing to show us things. Because you got to think, all of the internet at that point had been, I'm not going to say crucifying them, critiquing them. And it's human nature to want to respond to criticism and to be defensive in response to criticism. And so, of course, they were hesitant to have us there to begin with, but they also were kind of on the defensive with the criticism. Like, oh, Dolly said, he's got to touch my magic mullet, which he got to touch her hair. It's not really a mullet, and it's not really nothing like she had to have showered that day, I'm sure, because she wasn't dirty. Hey, just another troll. Good to see you. But we sat down with these people, and Dolly Vision went outside with Dawn because they were going to go look at the hill on the side of the property, like where she could have gone over by the dog trail. And I just sat in there talking with Candace. Now, when I say the room was heavy, I'm telling you, and I'm one of those people, I don't know how to explain my aura or my ability as far as other people and their aura. I can sense if you're a good or a bad person for the most part, based on my perception of what good and bad is, almost instantly. And being in the same room as Candace Wells, which Candace Bly at the time, was very heavy. The air felt thick. It kind of felt very hard to breathe. She almost was just a very burden, heavy bearing soul that it came off in my space. Like, I felt like it was heavy in the building. I felt like it was heavy to have the conversation with her. I felt like it was hard to breathe. And like I said, it was January, February, so it wasn't hot, it wasn't humid. I didn't have issues with my breathing. I don't have asthma, but I sat in there because I felt like, look, this lady is a person too. She's kind of been persecuted for a lot of what's been going on and what had happened. And so she deserves for me to listen to what she has to say. Plus, even, if something did happen, in fact, and she was like Jackson said, demon, I still want to give her love, because that's how you treat people in general. You don't, act like somebody's a evil person when you know they're an evil person, because you are told even to treat them with kindness in response, and they hate that. When somebody's just bad or a mean person and you smile at them or you act in kindness in response to them, they hate that. So that's how I live, I guess. That's my motto. But I'm sitting at the table with Candace Wells, and she's calling her friend, who is a friend that nobody really knows about, that she went to stay with after she got kicked out of Kathy's. And so that's one of the parts of the story from Ernie Shell today that I was just listening to, where we are listening to a story of Candace and what she was doing at what time and when and where she supposedly was at some digging hole where she had come too often to look over, where she allegedly put Summer Wells in the ground because they could possibly hear shovel noises. That is not true. None of that is true. The reason that I know that, I'll get to here shortly. When I get back to my story, I was sitting at the table, Candace Wells, me right there in front of her. She calls her friend. It's the friend that not many people know about. I will not be giving out her information. She's always been anonymous and always wanted to be anonymous. But in the Crime Lines and Lies interview, people are identifying said person as Kathy, and it is not Kathy. And so you're basically starting out the entirety of your recollection of everything, Ernie Shell, with not factual information. And so for me, I'm just like, I'm trying to freaking help Brooks in her chat. So I'm in her, it's Crime Lines and Lies. I know I call her Brooks, but that's the channel that we were watching. There was an exclusive interview today about an hour, 2 hours ago with Ernie Shao. And so you basically got the whole storyline of what his perception was of what. Out of speaking to Candace Wells, while I can tell you almost 100% that is not in fact what was happening, because this friend that Candace is now calling on FaceTime while I'm sitting directly in front of her is actually the friend that was talking to her on that call, and that was talking to Ernie Shao saying F you. That was this other friend. So I tried to tell them in chat, like, hey, that's not Kathy. And hey, that's not where she was. She was in her driveway. She was in this friend's driveway. Hey, no, she wasn't digging up somebody. She was not burying a body. She was literally in the gravel in the driveway. And I know because I was told that by this person who I've spoken to on a voice call several times. And so therefore I recognize the voice instantly. I know who's who. I've been there with these people. I've been there following the story almost before. I don't remember if it was right before Dolly, or I think it was following Dolly before that. But ultimately, I'm sitting there talking to Candace face to face at her table, trying to breathe. It's heavy. It's kind of uncomfortable because at that point, like, what do you say? Hey, Candace, did you kill your baby? I mean, I couldn't sit there and say that to her. So I couldn't sit there and think, like, hey, I'm judging you and think your house is nasty, which that's another thing. When Dolly came back and did his first live, and I'm calling him Dolly, I know it's weird as hell. Um, he did a stream where he kind of basically said, hey, these people are human. They're cleaning up their house. We saw their house. There's nothing really that bad about it. We saw that they had bins filled with Summer's things, and none of her stuff got thrown out like everybody was alluding. Um, he said they seemed like nice people. He never said, hey guys, I am flipping completely and I do not believe that Dawn and Candace are bad people and they 100% never did anything to Summer. That's it, the end, goodbye. But that's literally what everybody took it as. And I say everybody by uh, categorizing a set of people, not everybody. Clearly, it's not everybody. There was just a handful of people that took that live stream that he did where he just got back from Tennessee. We had just met Don and Candace, and his perception of them was that they are human. They seem like they're trying to fix their house. They seem like they're nice people. And it was true. That's what they showed us at that time. Candace cried. I had never seen Candace have emotion before that point in time. Um, but again, that never translated into, that never truly translated and shouldn't have. It didn't translate into, oh, he's now on Dawn Wells' side and they're going to be best friends tomorrow. You know, I talked to them a handful of times after that, but that was it. And then another thing, people claim, oh, he's taking money from this case on behalf of this kid. I was there, just started dating Dolly Vision in December 2021. And no, was it 22? 21. It was 21. Um, so I was a new girlfriend and I watched him walk up to these people when we first meet these people. Mind you, I was half out of breath, half dead. Like it was literally the biggest incline ever in a driveway. Like I swear I thought it was a never ending driveway. Anyways, we're going to get past that because this stream really is just to bring awareness to Summer Moon Utah Wells, who is still missing, Tennessee, Hawkins County, June 15th, 2021. But ultimately, I've watched this man who everybody sometimes will still freaking, even to this day, say is utilizing this child's name, blah, 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 whatever. And he comes up and hands Dawn Wells some money and said, hey, I'm really sorry that I have been doing streams where you guys don't agree with me, but I'm here. I want to help you and I want to help you find your child. And he's asking this man on like how he could help do his like duct work and like stuff to fix his house. And I'm sitting there like, you're old, babe. Like, I don't know why you think you're going to come up here and help these people rebuild their house. But I mean, and he's like, whatever, because that's whatever. That's what he does. He's like, be quiet. I'm like, okay. So I went back a little bit there, but basically, I'm sitting at the table talking to Candace Wells. She's talking to her friend on FaceTime. Her friend is on camera. She's like, "Oh, look, here's Dolly," and she shows her friend us on her screen, and the lady's like, "Oh, hi," all excited like he's a celebrity. I know, but so I became to know some of these people within this chat. So I know this friend. Again, I'm not going to say the friend's name because she's wanted to be anonymous. She's always been anonymous. But here I am today listening to Ernie Shell talk about it on Brooks's chat, Crime Lines and Lies. If one of my mods could post that video, since I'm talking about it, I don't mind sharing her video. She's really nice. I like Crime Lines and Lies Brooks. She did a video, and I know a lot of people have issues with Ernie Shell, so that was probably a really controversial video to do. Her chat was a little bit crazy. I did type in there and I sent a super chat trying to kind of correct a little bit of what was being said, and I did get hit or timed out. I think I got timed out. So I basically am like, this is what happens to me, and this is why I've had YouTube channels. This is my second or third one. And whenever somebody times me out, I turn into like a stompy foot toddler and throw myself to the ground and decide that I'm gonna do live stream because I've got to correct all the misinformation. No, that's not really it. I'm not gonna correct everything, but for me, it's important to make sure when you're telling these stories, you have to. And I don't necessarily agree that she was sitting there allowing him to lie. I think that she was letting him speak, which is really important. And a lot of people don't understand how important it actually is because he's not a suspect to this, but he does have some pertinent information. And so allowing him to speak does kind of help put pieces together. But what upsets me or what bothered me here particularly is that he didn't say that was my opinion or that was my input or that was how I perceive things. And the stuff that I'm getting ready to correct, you'll understand why I'm saying that. Yeah, she did. I definitely got timed out, and I've been a member on her channel for a year and a half. So, I don't really feel like I said anything wrong. I had said that was in the lady's driveway, that wasn't in any kind of burial spot, and then I said that was not Kathy, that was somebody else, and then I said something else again, and one of her mods was like, "I know you've said it to us over and over," and I'm like, I just wanted to correct it. So that the new people that are watching, and he's continuously saying it incorrectly, so I'm wanting to correct it yet again. I know I said it 5 seconds ago, but I want to say it again because he just said something that's incorrect yet again. But I don't need to talk here. And then one of her mods was like, don't have to be rude, or like, don't be rude in the chat. And then I noticed I was timed out, so I was like, okay. But basically the recording of Candace talking to Ernie occurred while Candace was at her friend's house, and what had happened with Kathy was they got into some type of altercation, argument, whatever, and they ended up not being friends. Hey, Starcasm, good to see you. So Candace was kicked out from Kathy's and went to this other person's house. This other person was sick. I believe it was like a flu or something. You know how Candace sounded. She was sick like that. And so Candace had been at her couch for a couple of days at that point. And don't take my stories verbatim. I'm just trying to remember exactly how it was told to me. This was already a story that was told to me, so I was aware of it. But the recordings of it are being replayed, and so I really feel like, I need to kind of explain it or correct some of it. And again, it's me retelling the story, so just be aware I'm not stating facts from a dictionary as being 150% factual. Always do your due diligence and research everything, even everything I say, everything freaking your preacher says, your parents. It's always good to kind of recheck everything that gets told to you. But Ernie Shell today played, Brooks played it, but Ernie Shell recounted the events of his conversations with Candace, and she's an actress. She is literally Oscar-worthy, award-winning. She's an actress, even when she's highly intoxicated. She is an actress. She is very good at the art of manipulation, allegedly. Thank you, Jax. Allegedly, in my opinion, she's an actress. She basically was at this lady's house. She sneaks out front, and so this lady's got the flu, and she goes outside to see, like, oh God, where's Candace? And Candace is out front. Oh, Ernie. And she comes out there like, what in the world? Uh, and grabs the phone, tells, Ernie, F you. And that's where all that occurred, which this is also where the whole gravel slash I'm moving dirt around slash burying somebody slash occurred. It was in this lady's front driveway. And so all of the perceived things that Ernie Shaw believed, one, she was out by some burial site digging a shovel, smelling things to where she was having to throw up because dead body smells. All of that is incorrect. Shovel fell. I don't know what it was that fell, but it was not. It was literally in this lady's front yard, and I was told about it after the recordings were released. But ultimately, and I actually agree with that. I agree. Hunter knows. Hunter actually tried to tell it before on his Facebook page or his Instagram. I don't remember if it was Facebook or Instagram. And he also told his girlfriend. I believe it was something about Summer getting hurt in that water. But I don't know. And I don't believe it had anything to do with a hammer to the head. That was extremely disturbing. I'm sorry, but I've never heard that. I, I can't. But basically, all of this stuff about the front driveway, gravel moving around, shovels falling, that occurred while Candace was in her friend's front driveway. She was not as sick as she portrayed to be. She was not trying to off herself. Same thing when she called Dolly Vision. She was wasted on liquor, not nothing else. This is what Candace does, allegedly, in my opinion, for attention. And yeah, so, and this was while Dawn Wells was in jail. So for me, everybody that tries to excuse Candace's behavior, how do you explain the fact that Dawn Wells was in jail at this time and she was still actively playing her role of damsel in distress slash I'm going to off myself, Ernie, please come save me? Because that's literally what happened. I heard CP sympathizers with the Wells saying so many people went after them to look what they did for the well. Yep. And that's what it is, though. Everybody has the right to have their own perception of things and to have their input and opinion. There's always going to be a good and a bad, a right and a wrong. It's part of the yin and yang in the matrix we live in. And I say matrix just being facetious. I don't really believe that we live in a matrix, but kind of it's just like how I explain it to myself. But ultimately, yeah, you get what I mean. So let me actually turn my camera off so I can possibly get my deception deck out because I wanted to kind of go over some of the stuff that I learned with my deception detect because it's like a set of flashcards for behavioral and statement analysis. When people are talking, usually you can actually get their words and you can translate what they're actually saying versus what they're saying. Does that make sense? Because I have a theory of what I believe happened to Summer, and I don't think that it's definitely not what Dolly Vision believes in, and it's not a theory that I would have believed before I purchased this deception deck. Now, I really want to make sure everybody is aware that my input, opinion, theory, perception is only that, a theory. In my mind, it doesn't matter for anything other than my opinion for my sanity or for myself. And I don't have any factual proof or evidence of what I'm saying. All I have is my thought process and my, I don't know how to explain it. But my actual theory is a little bit really it's disturbing for me to say out loud because I could never really process that would have been a thing until I met these people and then went through a couple of classes that I went through, and then I went and looked into like actual behavior analysis and statement that they said this is exactly why I wanted to really go over Sebastian Rogers. It's another little boy that's missing. I wanted to go over his parents' interviews because for me, it's really important what the people in the story are actually saying themselves. Um, so for the Summer Wells case, again, I just want to reiterate Summer Wells is a little girl. She was 5 years old. She went missing from Hawkins County, Tennessee, June 15th, 2021. She is still missing. We still have no answers and no clues as to where she is or what might have happened to her. And at first, I thought she had to have just been accidentally unalived, like with the Hunter thing, which that has always actually kind of been my theory based on us finding out that Hunter had told his girlfriend and Hunter had posted to his page that Summer had got hurt in the water that day and that she didn't make it out alive. So, um, that is one theory that I've had and that I've kind of started to get away from because after a certain amount of time, human nature it is to kind of tell the truth over lying. And for me, I feel like it would be really hard to keep up with a lie on where Summer is and what happened to Summer to everybody. But these people seem to have that ability. They have the ability to lie and continuously lie while they're drunk, which that was unheard of for me. When you're drinking and you still are able to fully lie, um, that was unheard of to me. But why cover it up? Because they were people that have been in trouble all their lives and they don't want to go back to jail. And so um, it would be scary to have to say, hey, this child was in my care, she slipped and fell, and now she's gone, and they're going to blame me for it, that kind of thing. Um, See, I wouldn't have gone that far with it, but I mean, anything is possible since we don't know. Summer Wells was uh, possibly abused, uh, sexually, mentally, and we have clues leading or alluding to that. And so, for me, what I think as my secondary theory, what I'm kind of leaning towards more than my first now is that there was SA happening within the home and even possibly with other people. And the reason that I actually got to that conclusion or that assumption is because of Don Wells' words. Don Wells says things like, oh, she only wanted me, and I've never felt that way towards anybody, and she loved me more than anybody. To me, as gross as that sounds, trigger warning, it almost made me fully convert to a fact of him messing with her in that kind of way. And so for me, um, it just got that as soon as I started recognizing and going over his exact words, I started going into that direction because a lot of what he says and a lot of Don Wells' history with his essay abusing his sisters, him admitting it and basically blaming the fact that the 5-year-old sister basically started it all. It's disgusting. It's disturbing. My opinion, again, is that that type of abuse was possibly happening in that home. You're right. Candace was jealous of that little girl. There was possibly a handing off of the child to trade a favor for something. In my opinion, I don't necessarily, when people say, oh, she was sold, they assume it's like a one-time thing and it's like get on the cargo ship and go to a different country and then you're utilized as a slave of some sort of way. Thank you. Thank you so much. But it actually could be a bunch of different types of things other than that. And for me, I Yeah, he took showers with the children. He slept with the children. Well, and he slept with someone and was not clothed. Um, just stuff like that. Ultimately, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Trigger warning. I'm so sorry you went through that. But that's exactly. Uh, I feel like certain people within this storyline have come forward and have said things like, "Oh, I had Summer until Dawn came back out to give me my paycheck." It was. I'm very bad with names, so unless I have it all written down, I'm really bad at retelling it. But what I believe, and see, I could be wrong, and I hate that I'm saying it out loud because I'm a firm believer of like if you say something into the universe, you can make it into something or you can bring it to reality. But ultimately, I I feel like that's what occurred. Almost, I'm almost 75% sure of it that they were renting or selling this child for favors in return, whether it was money, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever. Um, And when Cher came out with that story with Justin, I've not really followed Cher ever. I've not really looked into anything really Cher related. But the one time where I watched her entire stream was when she stated she had a picture that Dawn Wells sent her of Summer Wells, where you can see the little thumbnail, the little images under it. When you have an iPad or an iPhone, you can see the photos that are lined up in the next view on your photo album, and she claimed that she saw Summer in certain positions that could possibly be where you're soliciting or advertising SA purposes. I hate that I'm saying all of this out loud. I really hate it. I hate that this possibly could have happened to this child. My thing that I don't understand for here with this theory is why somebody can't capture this and take it to some type of law enforcement and have it executed as for um, justice. I feel like the law enforcement in that area is corrupt and that they possibly are involved in this some sort of way. And then I also feel like Don Wells is some type of informant because when Don Wells was arrested originally, it was where a lot of different persons after him started getting arrested, and I feel like he snitched. But again, that's my opinion, my input only. I don't have any facts or actual evidentiary freaking pieces that are 100% verified as factual. But based on their words and their words alone, I know that there was SA Summer Wells was getting ready to go to school. She was getting ready to have a physical done. CPS was investigating this family, which I was in their home, and they started telling both of us, me and Dolly Vision, were in their home, and we were getting the stories of, oh, well, CPS had just closed the case the day before. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm not buying that. I don't believe you. But I didn't say that right off the bat. So for me, it's like there were CPS cases opened. She was being looked into. They were starting to actually poke around to the point where that would be dangerous for them to continue to keep her in that home, especially if she was going to be able to be talking to some authority figure. She was going to have to go to school, have access to children around her. And so when Don Wells said something one time on I think it was on the Dr. Phil show, but I have not been able to find it ever since. And this is one of the things that I hate about true crime on the platform is, especially with the Summer Wells case, everybody has an opinion, everybody has high emotion, and everybody has a set way that they believe that should be the way, whether it's their perception, their responses to things, their emotional responses, their being sad, mad, glad, happy, laughing. It's all got to be a set way or it's wrong. And for me, it's not that way. I believe that everybody that's out here talking about Summer Wells deserves to be, and that is required for us to never forget her name. Am I really? I'm going in and out. It's probably because I moved over right in front of my air conditioning. Okay, I'm finishing up, but I remembered it. I think it was an interview, but I don't really remember exactly where it was, but I could never find it again. Where Don Wells, and I believe it was the Dr. Phil show, but Don Wells had said that somebody took her and never brought her back or didn't bring her back. And I think that shed was utilized as a drop off point to pick her up and then bring her back, or pick her up and take her and then bring her there, because I believe Don Wells was at that shed before the cops even got to that home. I believe that Don Wells, based on his own words, again, I've heard him say before that he was at the shed and then he had to retract and say not then, but before. And so it's a lot easier to lie when you are actually telling the truth, but you're not giving the full details of the truth. So again, my opinion only, I believe that she was not necessarily sold, but traded for SA type favors. They got whatever back in return. And I believe that she was taken that day or the day before even, and that she was not properly returned, and therefore she was gone. They knew instantly she was gone. Their words said it right off the bat that somebody took her, which, if that is in fact what occurred, they're not lying. And so it's not hard to keep up with a lie when you're not lying. Technically, somebody took her, but they're just omitting the rest of the part of the story of, oh, well, it was because of da da da. You know what I mean? So it's very true. There's always been people within the inside of all of this that are kind of counter intel, if that makes sense. Like there's always been a person that's basically not necessarily hired, but they're basically utilized to deflect and direct the traffic to the different side. So Benny Keys, White Boy Radio, Cher, all of those types of people were utilized throughout this case to kind of go on the internet and project what it is that the puppet master, aka Don Wells at the time, was wanting to be publicized. And so, I don't know. Unknown to you, so they can't be accused legally. Right. That is sick, to sacrifice your child. You would set up a kidnap. Right. And all of this, again, I just want to say it's my opinion only. I don't have facts. I don't have hard proof. I don't have evidence of anything what I'm saying. I just truly went back and listened over this entire time to a lot of everything they said personally. I was there. I met them personally. And I basically just, I sense things. Not that that was really even what I utilized to get my input or my idea. It's just, people keep popping in like, yeah, no, I definitely want everybody to know this is definitely a triggering topic. My theory of what happened to Summer Wells is not a good one, and sadly, I don't believe she's alive. My thing now is that I am very concerned for our state of being as a society. If we can't trust law enforcement, or if we don't have anybody to contact to state the truth or what we believe is to be the truth, and for them to do anything about it, like, what is the purpose of having law enforcement in place if you can't call them and report a crime, or you can't question what they're doing or why they're not doing certain things? Exactly. This is what I don't understand either, because being from Virginia, I know Dolly Vision has covered. I've mentioned him like every other sentence. I didn't realize I did that so much. We're in Virginia. So in Virginia, you cannot leave your child unattended, have something happen to your child, and then be walking around free. And with the Summer Wells case, Candace Wells had 7, 8 children. We don't even know. That all are no longer with her or had her as their parent for a long time due to her neglectful and bad behaviors. I mean, I believe one of the freaking children was taken from her as she gave birth because of the fact that she was on some type of substance. And so for me, it's like, being in Virginia, you could not do that here. You would have to give that child over to the proper authorities once you gave birth, due to the fact that it's neglectful to have a child come out with some type of substance in your system and their system. I mean, I would want it that way. I wouldn't want to be in charge with a child knowing that I had a substance abuse issue, and therefore, I mean, it's in the better benefit of the child to not be. I don't know. Does the DA really think they have a case? I'm not sure. Hey, everybody that's arriving late. I'm just finishing up. I'm getting ready to go back into work, but I just had to kind of clear up a little bit of what got said over around crime lines and lies. She had Ernie Shell on her panel. He told some of his story. He tried to explain his input or his perception of what his and Candace's conversation was about. And I know for a fact where she was while she was having the conversation, and she was not out anywhere in a forest or by her swimming hole, digging a hole to bury anybody. None of that is true. Um, and I knew that while it occurred. So I'm not going to give info on who this other friend is, but we heard the recording of where Ernie was talking to Candace, and then you could hear the friend because the friend gets on the phone at one point because she's so over it that she's like, "Fuck you, Ernie," and everybody's thinking that's Kathy, and that's not Kathy. So I just wanted to clarify some things, and then I also wanted to kind of give my input and my opinion and my experience with these people because again, I've met these people, and you would understand, I think, a little bit more had you been able to meet these people like me, but it is what it is. Not all of us can or will ever. And hopefully one day we get justice for Summer Moon Utah Wells. She is still a little girl. She was 5 years old at the time. She went missing June 15th, 2021. And I believe we should all make videos about her. I believe we should all talk about her. And I believe we all should try and put some type of pressure, however that may be, on law enforcement in Hawkins County, Tennessee, to try and get some kind of resolution, some type of answer, something somewhere. Like, we need to get the case pushed to the forefront so somebody notices again, and hopefully, we get answers sooner than later. But on that note, I'm gonna do my outro.
And for the first time in a long time, I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago.
Bicycle.